Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's pitch to convince the world's richest that Canada is a good place to invest came too late for a pilot program intended to lure 60 millionaire immigrants to Canada in an effort to give the economy a boost, CBC News has learned. There has never been a better time to look to Canada, Trudeau said this week before a crowd of the world's business elite at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. The Immigrant Investor Venture Capital Program, a revamped version of a program critics once denounced as cash for citizenship, was launched last January by the former Conservative government following a commitment it made in the 2014 budget. The one-year pilot was meant to attract rich immigrants willing to make a non-guaranteed investment of $2 million up front to be held for 15 years in a fund managed principally by BDC Capital, the investment arm of the Business Development Bank of Canada, in return for permanent residency. Applicants also had to prove they had even more money in the bank. But a year after it was launched, the pilot program has yielded just 7 applications from potential international investors and no permanent resident visas. The demand for this pilot program has been low, said Nancy Caron, a spokeswoman with the Department of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, in an email to CBC News this week. The previous Conservative government thought it would result in hundreds of applications from rich immigrant investors. The program will be open for applications from January 28 to February 11, 2015, or until a maximum of 500 applications are received, the previous government announced around this time last year. A year later, Canada is still waiting to welcome its first new millionaire immigrant investor. A total of 7 applications are in process, said the departmental spokeswoman this week, adding that as of December 30, 2015, 4 applications had passed a first-stage review and 3 had passed a second-stage review and were in process. Only when an application reaches the second stage is it then given a pass or fail, Caron explained. With all 7 applications still in process, no permanent resident visas have yet been issued under this program, she said. The previous Conservative government tightened up the rules under the new pilot after acknowledging that immigrant investors under the old ineffective program were not likely to stay in Canada over the long term and contributed relatively little to the Canadian economy. While the Conservatives were hoping to have better luck with this program than they did under the former Immigrant Investor Program, Richard Courland, an immigration lawyer and policy analyst based in Vancouver, said the pilot was broken from the get-go. Canada was asking prospective immigrants to write a blank check and hope that 15 years down the road they would see any return on that investment, Courland said in a phone interview with CBC News. It's no surprise to see that the wealthy immigrant investor crowd would look at other immigration possibilities to come to this country in order to grow our economy, create jobs and find a secure place for their own families. The first sign of trouble came 2 weeks after the program was launched, when the deadline to apply was immediately extended from February 13 to April 15, 2015.